In Bucharest, U.S. Marine Gunnery Sergeant Alexander Aligorsky is tasked with protecting a convoy carrying the American ambassador, his wife, and daughter. Ali travels in the car with the daughter, and the convoy sets out. All is well as the convoy exits the town and enters the countryside. They enter a heavily wooded area when Ali spots some figures among the trees. She alerts the team, but the men see nothing until a rocket comes flying into the lead car. The convoy continues on, but a rocket hits another car. Heavily armed men emerge from the woods and open fire on the convoy, killing multiple agents. Ali also joins the gunfight, but the agents are soon overwhelmed. The ambassador is hit, so Ali tries to save the wife and daughter, but their car is hit by a rocket, killing them, with Ali being the only survivor, still tormented with PTSD flashbacks. Ali leaves the Marines and moves to New York. She visits her uncle Pat at a bar, and they talk about Ali missing her sister's funeral as she was not allowed the time off. He suggests that she look for her niece and nephew as they would love to have their aunt around. He also tells her about a job at the Carrington Hotel, which is currently undergoing renovations. He knows she is going through a lot and suggests that she talks to someone, but Ali reassures him she is fine. The following day, Ali gets to the Carrington where Pat is there working also. He directs her to see a doorman named Boris, who will be training her as a new doorman. He explains that since the Carrington is undergoing renovations, Ali's main duties will be just babysitting the hotel for the few residents. Her first day doesn't start so well, but she is able to help an old couple, the Hirsches, up to their room. The woman knows Ali's sister, who never stopped talking about Ali. It turns out Ali's brother-in-law, John, niece, and nephew are still living in the hotel. Ali confronts Pat for hiding the news from her and immediately goes to see her family. Her nephew, Max, opens the door but does not recognize her, but John is shocked seeing her. He invites her inside, but Ali refuses. It is later revealed that Ali and John had an affair while he was married to her sister, and the guilt caused her to join the Marines. The family's cat Jasper runs out of the apartment, so Ali offers to help Lily search for him. They go to get Max's help, who initially refuses until Lily threatens to snitch on Max about his smoking. The three head out calling for the cat. Max disappears before reappearing from a hidden passage in the walls, revealing that the Carrington is full of them. Ali reveals that she is their aunt, and Lily is happy about this. The search leads down into the basement of the hotel, where they see Jasper, and Ali creates a makeshift rappel to save them. They return to the apartment, where Ali is invited to join them for Easter dinner. She is reluctant to be around John, but Lily begs her to show up. For that weekend, Ali gets ready to go to dinner. Meanwhile, at the Carrington, Boris wonders why Pat is still around after his shift has ended. Pat wants to work on a resident's microwave before heading home. Boris pours a glass of beer, then suddenly smashes it over Pat's head, finishing him off with a hammer. He gets to the lobby where he sees Ali turn up, not pleased to learn that she will be staying there for dinner. Outside, men in cleaning suits enter the Carrington. They are armed with high-powered rifles, led by Victor Dubois, who orders them to lock down the hotel. The men jam the cell phones and destroy the alarm system to get their mission underway. Ali is helping to get dinner started when Lily shows her a drawing she made. She used an old picture of Ali and John as a reference, revealing she got it from John's memory book. Upstairs, there is a knock at the Hirsches' door, and it is Boris and Victor, who introduces himself as an old friend of her husband, Bernard. Victor explains that he worked with Bernard 30 years ago when he went by the name Eric. Mrs. Hirsch finds this unbelievable since Bernard has been unresponsive for many years. She starts to protest until Boris gets serious, ordering her to sit. Victor demands the whereabouts of some paintings, threatening to harm his wife, but Bernard stares blankly into space. Boris stabs Bernard in the leg, causing him to scream and come back to himself. He says the paintings are in the walls, though he cannot recall exactly where. Victor then calls in his men, and they begin to demolish the walls. Ali is settling in with the family for dinner when Lily accidentally spills some sauce. Max is high and laughs, but John gets angry and sends him to his room. Ali reassures Lily, offering to get more sauce from the Hirsches. Before she leaves, John brings up the history they had together. He is still not over Ali leaving in the middle of their affair to join the Marines. Ali reveals she could not hurt her sister anymore, and despite John revealing that he still has feelings for her, she leaves to get sauce for Lily. Meanwhile, Victor's men find nothing in the walls and threaten to shoot Bernard. A scared Mrs. Hirsch reveals that they recently moved into this apartment and were staying in 10C before, John's apartment. Bors reveals that the apartment is occupied, and Victor scolds him for not clearing the entire hotel. Mrs. Hirsch lashes out at Bors before he leaves, so he shoots both her and Bernard dead. Ali gets to the Hirsch's room only to see them both dead. She contacts Bors to tell him about the attack, but he tells her to come to the lobby, lying that he cannot hear her. Meanwhile, Victor and his men barge into John's apartment, holding John and Lily at gunpoint. Victor announces that his visit will be brief and as humane as possible. Ali gets to Bors when suddenly Pat attacks him, but Bors shoots him dead before opening fire on Ali, who escapes into the elevator, but he shuts the elevator down, trapping her. Bors gets to 10C and sends a mercenary, Pee-wee, to get Ali. Max, who was in his room, sees his family at gunpoint, but John motions for him to escape back to his room. Bors realizes that Max is missing, and though John tries to lie, Victor realizes that an extra place was set at the table and sends a man to find him. A man bursts into Max's room, but he narrowly escapes behind a secret doorway. Ali manages to pry her way out of the elevator, but Pee-wee spots her and opens fire. Ali escapes into a room under renovation. He comes to check, but Ali ambushes him, demanding to know who he is. Pee-wee fights back, and the two trade blows, but Ali knocks him down and disappears again. She tries to suffocate him with plastic, but he cuts himself free. He approaches her with his knife and tries to attack, but in one swift move, Ali stabs and kills him with his own blade. Bors is unable to get through to Pee-wee and sends more men to check it out. He then explains to Victor that there is a doorman in the building, but it's just a girl, so they should have no issues. Ali then runs into Max, who is in shock after seeing her kill Pee-wee. He tells her about the men inside the apartment and about Victor. Ali can see he is scared but needs his help to move around the building's secret passages. Two men stumble upon Pee-wee's dead body and report it back to Bors. Max accidentally gives away their hiding position, and the men chase after the two, who quickly run into another room, escaping into a hidden room before the men can spot them. Victor again berates Bors for allowing Ali to be an issue. He wants to know who Ali is, but John lies that they just met and he invited her to dinner. Bors recalls her name, and Victor pulls out a satellite-linked tablet. He finds out she is a gunnery sergeant and all the medals to her name. Ali and Max talk about her history with his mom and John. Max thinks John did not do enough after his mother died and loses his temper, causing the men to hear him yelling. He then attempts to leave the room, but the men see him and open fire. The men try breaking into the room, so Max hurriedly finds an exit. By the time the men make it into the room, Ali and Max are climbing their way down. They open fire, but Ali and Max escape. Victor's men are unable to find the paintings in the wall, but he can feel that they are there. He sees a massive bookshelf, admiring John's collection, but when he learns that the Hirsches built it, he suspects something. He then locates a hidden section holding a safe and orders his men to break in. John pretends to pour both he and Victor a bottle of wine, sneakily taking up his laptop in the process and handing it to Lily in secret. Max and Ali stumble upon Pat's body before moving on to the locker to get changed. Lily begins logging into the laptop. Bors almost comes upon her, but John pulls him and Victor into a conversation, learning that the two met in prison. Ali and Max realize they're locked in and move on to the control room, where they begin working on the fire alarm. Meanwhile, John learns that Victor is looking for paintings that he and Mr. Hirsch stole when the German wall fell. Lily is trying to post a message for help on Facebook when Bors catches her, and Victor forces her to delete the message. Ali and Max get the fire alarm going, and fire trucks pull up outside. They rush to the door to greet the incoming firemen, but Bors and his men catch them in the lobby. They hold Max at gunpoint and disarm Ali. Bors then greets the firemen, telling them it's a false alarm. The firemen and a cop enter the building, and the fire chief has to check every floor of the hotel per procedure. Another fireman and the cop want to get back to their Easter dinner, so the men break procedure and leave. Bors wonders why Ali, a decorated soldier, is working as a doorman and wonders if she is damaged. Bors gets too close to Ali, who attacks him, then blinds him with a fire extinguisher. Ali and Max split up. Men chase after Ali, who manages to elude them, then shoots one of the men. The other attacks her, and the two engage in a brutal fight until the other injured man joins the fight. Ali locks in, hitting the men with some deadly strikes before throwing one man into electrified water. She defeats the other man and manages to escape as Bors opens fire on her. Bors sends one man to find Max, as he wants Ali for himself. Max is frantically looking for a way out and manages to kick loose an air conditioner to the street before a man can find him. He runs to a cop car, telling the cop about the situation in the hotel, but it turns out the cop works for Victor. Max pulls his gun on the cop but is unable to pull the trigger. He is then dragged from the car and taken back to the hotel. Ali is nursing a gunshot wound to the arm. She then hears Victor talking to her over the intercom, and she warns that Max will get the cops to take Victor and his men down, but he reveals that he is Max's captive. Victor reminds her of the incident that took place with the ambassador and tells her to avoid more innocent blood by turning herself over in the next 15 minutes. Ali begins to have flashbacks, and her PTSD kicks in. Meanwhile, Max notices that the instrument used to break into the safe is connected to the water supply. Max uses the intercom button to send a Morse code message to Ali to shut the main water supply off. Once she does this, the men stop drilling, as the water is needed to stop the drill bit from breaking. Victor orders the men to continue drilling, but just as he says that, the drill breaks, so Victor sends a man to turn the water back on. Ali has found some items and creates a makeshift explosive. The man comes to the basement and sees a tripwire and avoids it. He sets off the small explosion and thinks he is safe, but as he goes to turn the water on, an explosion goes off right in his face. Ali takes his gun and radio, reporting that their man is dead. Victor then finds out John has been lying all this time about not knowing Ali when he finds the old photograph of the two. He reveals that he knows Ali is related to the family and demands that she turn the water back on, or he will kill her family. He even fires a shot just over John's head to show he is serious. Ali tells them that the main water valve is destroyed, but she has a plan. She then turns up to the apartment and surrenders herself. She promises to return the water for the release of her family, but Victor has already set his terms. He has the corrupt officer follow a lead to the roof, where she connects the hose to a water tank. She is about to be shot by the cop, but she attacks him, and the two begin to fight. Ali struggles against the cop for a bit but manages to overpower him and shoot him dead. Meanwhile, Victor finally gets into the safe, where he reveals the old, rare, and expensive paintings and is preparing to leave. John sees an opportunity and reveals that the paintings are worth $80 million each. Bors is shocked hearing this, as Victor had told him the paintings were $5 million max. Bors refuses to continue working, and the two have a standoff with Bors holding a grenade. He demands more money for his work, and Victor has no choice but to agree with him. They go to leave when Ali comes crashing through the roof and holds the safecracker at gunpoint. While Victor escapes the room, Bors grabs Max and holds him at gunpoint also. Bors purposely shoots his partner dead, then shoots John in the stomach as he tries to save Max. Before he leaves, he throws a grenade, but John manages to toss it out of the room before it explodes. After checking that John will pull through, Ali grabs her gun and goes after the men. Outside, cops are responding to the explosion and cut their way into the lobby. They meet Bors at the elevators, who tells them that Ali has been holding a family hostage and is on her way down. They allow Bors to leave, and he and Victor go to Plan B. The cops then hold Ali at gunpoint. She tries to explain to the cops, but they don't believe her. An explosion distracts them, and Ali uses the chance to take out the cops. Bors and Victor are escaping with the paintings when Bors double-crosses Victor and shoots him dead. Ali then confronts Bors, and the two plan to end things. The two run at each other, shooting, before clashing in hand-to-hand combat. The two are fast and soon begin fighting with the canisters carrying the paintings. Ali causes one painting to fall to the ground and attacks Bors as he goes to save it. She loses the upper hand, though, and soon gets beaten down. He thinks he has won, but Ali has pulled a grenade pin right at his feet, and Bors is blown up. A few days later, Ali comes to visit the family as they are moving out of the Carrington. She is finally able to deliver the sauce to Lily, who is elated. John invites Ali to join the family in London, but she refuses. Max then gives Ali a hug before heading into the car and leaving with the family.